Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. We've just had a pretty awesome series between Hero and Dream. Hero looking absolutely phenomenal, but now we get to the really, really juicy one. It's going to be Scarlett versus Bomber. Idra, how are you doing today?
I'm really excited for this. I think you see these groups, this is a match that immediately jumps out to absolutely everyone. Just one of the best matches we've seen in Heart of the Swarm at the Red Bull Battlegrounds just a couple of weeks ago. And just absolutely amazing games, and then of course the Baneling Bombs to top it all off. And so now we get to see if Scarlett can repeat.
I think nobody expected that last Baneling Bomb. I mean, the first one was like, oh, there's a lot of anticipation for it, but that very, very last one, you could just hear it in like Day9's voice that he just didn't have a clue that it was about to occur, but there you go. There it was. So these guys are 1-1 apiece right now in Heart of the Swarm. We had Bomber being victorious over Scarlett during WCS Season 2, Grand Finals, in fact, in Germany, Cologne, Cologne, Germany even. And then we obviously had Red Bull Battlegrounds commence just last week, where Scarlett was victorious. So sitting at 1-1 apiece, this could tip the tide, as it were, but it's also very important. The winner will advance on to play Hero, but both of these players are people that you expect to kind of move on, but it's such a stacked group.
Yeah, the way Hero was playing in that last game, as good as both these players are, it kind of feels like this might even be a fight for second place. Hero just looks absolutely impeccable against Dream, and Dream, not a bad player by any means, going through the open bracket, beating a lot of good players on his way, and Hero just completely dismantled and made him look silly in doing so. And Hero right now is apparently actually the first ranked player on the Korean ladder. He's considered pretty much the best player in Korea by a lot of people. So as exciting as this match is, a lot depends on this, because whoever loses this could very well be out of the group.
Yeah. It's a tough one. It is a tough one here. Bomber, the Season 2 champion from WCS this year. Whilst we have Scarlett, who is considered to be one of the top 2 foreigners. We have Naniwa and Scarlett pretty much.
No, she's the best foreigner.
Yeah?
No, she's the best foreigner by quite a bit, especially in ZVT. I think her ZVT actually contends for among the best in the world.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. ZVP, I don't know if you could say that's a weakness of hers, but it's kind of a weakness of a lot of Zergs right now. But her ZVT is just completely on point. And everyone remembers those Baneling Bombs, but the game leading up to it, and all of the other games in the series, just absolutely amazing back and forth. And Bomber, his macro is pretty much the best in the world. He has some failings in other fields, but his macro is just absolutely perfect. And Scarlett was on point with him the entire time throughout all of that.
Yeah, it was a fantastic series. They have been fantastic series in general to behold. But now, guys, we are loading up into game number 1 here. The map will be Frost between Scarlett and Bomber for game number 1. And as I say, man, I have been looking forward to this match ever since I saw the groups. Before they were even announced, my admins told me, I was like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. As we now jump into game number 1, spawning up to the top right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg representing Team Acer. She is Scarlett. And down to the bottom left, we have our blue Terran. It is Bomber. And
they did get cross positions. They played this map in their Red Bull match, although that was, I believe, close positions horizontally, like top right, top left. But this is the map that Bomber actually won, and he kind of just did it with a successful Marine parade. He started, he got a good engagement, and he just kind of kept going, as those games tend to go. So this was the one where he won, but that is much more favorable positions for the Terran. Here, cross map, Scarlett's going to have a lot more breathing room to get her 4th base up and running before she really has to worry about that kind of threat. And she likes to play macro games, so this is really, really good for her. But I mean, it's Bomber. He's not going to shy away from a macro game either.
Exactly, absolutely. And I was talking to Scarlett just before this series, before the day even started, and just in general, she's not a big fan of this map, especially when you get those favorable positions from Terran. But I said, well, you know, if it was cross spawns always, would it be okay for you? Would you be happy with this map? And she was like, yeah, you know, I mean, I think most Zergs in that position would be happy with it if it was cross spawns all the time. Your 4th is a little bit easier to take, much easier to take in comparison to when you're close positions. And as a Zerg player, you're not shying away from that, you know, big base kind of play, which obviously we see Scarlett going into those macro games a lot.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing a Reaper opening from Bomber. This is good for Scarlett as long as she doesn't do something off the wall like 3 HP 4 pool, and I really doubt that she would do anything like that. Just because it's not going to be as good of an economy for Bomber, and there's no way the Reaper's going to do anything. It's going to be such a long travel time. You know, Scarlett's going to have no problem holding it off, and then Bomber just doesn't have the advantage of fast CC opening. So these are not the ideal build for Bomber.
But he has no gas just yet.
Oh.
So.
Oh, is he going Barracks CC?
Yeah.
Barracks CC is the worst build, TVZ. I don't know why anyone does this. It's like the bad parts of everything put together. You have a slow economy, but you also don't have the Reaper for any kind of map control.
I think
And
that
Scarlett's even going gasless, so this is wonderful for her.
yeah, I think that just in general, after speaking to Scarlett before, that Scarlett is probably very, very happy with Frost actually being the first map. The reason I say that is because she was expecting Bomber to be very, very cheesy against her. And we saw that at the Red Bull Battlegrounds. Things like Proxy Reapers actually happen. Now on Frost, there's the weird. It's not easy to get something like that to happen
Right.
at all.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
no.
it's just impossible. You put it in the middle of the map and then try, but it would be just dumb because you don't know where they spawn. So Scarlett here is going to be playing her own flow at the very beginning of this game, relatively uncontested for a long time here.
Yeah, she doesn't really have to worry about anything, and she's still going gasless even though she hasn't really scouted the rack CC, and she's going to know no Reapers coming into her base. This is around the time you would see that. So she's going to know she's safe to take a third if she wants to, make a bunch of queens if she wants to, however she really wants to do this. Bomber just has no map presence right now, and he won't until he gets the Hellions up. And she's going to know that as soon as she sees there's no Reaper. So this is going to be great for her. On this map, it's good that this is the kind of the bad TVZ map that she has to play, and she got cross-position on this. Hopefully this means that she got to ban out Akalon and Yunsu, because those would be infinitely worse.
Yeah,
and getting diagonal positions. It's not the best map, but it means that she will have better maps going forward in the series, and this is not terrible. I don't know. Even if you do have the easier fourth, though, it just gets so hard to take a fifth and sixth base. It's kind of the same problem as Whirlwind. Like, your mid-game is going to be really, really strong, but if you don't get a game-winning advantage there, things are just going to kind of spiral as Terran hits 3-3.
Now, what we're seeing from Bomber here is that third command center going down, so a very economic focus, and from that point on, it does end up delaying that factory a little bit. So those Hellions are going to be a less of a threat if they ever come along to put on some pressure here to Scarlett, and then she can claim her third base eventually. But interestingly enough, third base hasn't gone down yet for Scarlett. Is this a little bit later than usual here? Yeah,
she's actually gotten 4 queens and the double gas before the third. It's not so unusual. We saw very similar things from several of the Korean Zergs, in fact, yesterday, just opening with a slightly later third. And it looks like she's moving out to take the central third, not even the upper one, more towards the 12 o'clock position. And that's still pretty exposed. It is diagonal. It is a long rush distance, but that's right out there in the middle of the map. It's very open and exposed.
2 factories actually now.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess he saw Happy yesterday and liked what he saw. It's kind of weird.
Uh-oh.
It didn't work so well.
We're in for it now, Greg. Sorry.
I don't know if I ever remember seeing Bomber play Mech TVZ. He really, really likes Marines. I don't know, this could still be some kind of weird thing where he just goes Hellions and then switches into like 2-factory either mine or tank production and does a push like that. And he is getting a tech lab next to it, so it is going to be 2-factory blue Hellion. It really should transition into mech, but I really haven't seen Bomber play mech, so I'm kind of curious how this is going to develop for him.
Yeah, and again, because there was that third command center before it, there is that slight delay on something like this happening. So Scarlett...
oh, this is kind of strange. He built a tech lab next to it, and now he's making... Did he just forget?
What is happening?
He's gonna get, maybe he drops the starport there. Oh no, he just messed up. That's strange.
Yeah, that really was a little strange. A little bit off there from Bomber. Normally we see him very, very on point about what's going to be executed, but a little bit of a weird execution there in general. Now, Bomber generally will go, or should be going mech off this, right? Oh, but he goes down to...
Double eBay comes up and a tech lab for Stim, so he is just going to transition. Something we've seen some Terrans do since the change to Widow Mines and tanks is a half tank, half mine kind of composition, where he's going to be producing mines off that one factory and then tanks off the other. I think that's most likely in this situation.
He got blocked by the little creep there for a second. But funnily enough, Scarlett actually played a very similar game just before the start of today against something like this, with minus the third CC. So the Blue Flame Hellions hit very, very quickly, and then it was a transition onto Marine Widow Mine. But Scarlett was thrown off thinking that it was actually going to be mech after seeing Blue Flame Hellions. So Scarlett's going to be very, very diligent about her scouting here. She's going to make sure that it's definitely not mech after the Blue Flame Hellions have hit. And then from that point on, she'll be able to react accordingly.
She does have that Overlord down by the third base of Bomber, so she should be able to go in and scout exactly what's going on as soon as she starts to question it. And she is going melee upgrades, so she is well set up for a bio game thus far, as long as she holds off these Blue Hellions, which honestly could be kind of a problem for her. She only has, how many? She has 19 Zerglings on the map right now, so that's not gonna do anything here.
Yeah, that is a lot of a lot of Hellions, not with the blue flame just yet though. As did he cancel blue flame? He canceled blue flame.
Oh wow.
That's kind of strange here, but regardless, he's doing quite a bit of damage. He's already killed off 9 workers. The Zergling's trying to get into good positions. The Queen is already zoning this out, but he does get 1 Queen kill.
Those Queens made that.
What is going on?
Oh, he just restarted blue flame. What the?
What is happening?
Why on earth would you get it now? Even if it was a mistake to cancel it, there's no reason to get it in now unless maybe he's not going Widowmine. Maybe he's going half tank, half mech, or half tank, half Hellion, and then a bunch of bio support kind of style. That's the only thing that makes sense if he restarts the blue flame.
Yeah.
But even that doesn't really make much sense because it's not very good. Scarlett is very much so a Mutiling Baneling player. She really, really likes just the big Mutiling Bane macro styles. But she's completely capable of playing a Roach-based style as well. We saw her play that much more previously before Mutas got buffed.
Like,
so
if he hadn't have cancelled the blue flame whilst all of this is going on, then maybe it would have thrown off Scarlett a little bit to question what his opponent was actually doing. Oh, but no, she's seen all the barracks anyway.
Yeah.
So she's still just going to stick to the Ling Bane Muta. And I think Scarlett's going to be all right here for this transition on.
he's produced a couple of Widowmines, but now he's back to Hellion production. So I think it will just be this like weird conglomeration of mech units in support of a big Marine army. That's very, very strange. But again, she is a very heavy Mutiling Baneling player. And she hasn't seen anything. We don't even have a Roach Warren, much less Roach production. So maybe this works out. Maybe the Blue Flame Hellions are enough to deal with the Zerglings, but she's going to have a pretty big advantage just in terms of macro and army size and army composition. Because
upgrades even going in her favor as well
Yeah.
here, as her 2-2's about to finish and complete. But there is no indications of any kind of hive on the way just for now, so there's not going to be a 3-3 out for quite a while for her. She's going to have to contest against 12 Marines at any given point in time, which is certainly a lot to deal with. But generally, if the Terran player was going for the normal Marine Widowmine style, they'd be pushing out across the map right now. And Scarlett's creep has gotten so far, considering that it was a Hellion opening.
yeah, that is, if you know Scarlett for one thing, is probably going to be her creep spread.
Yeah.
If you let her go for just a couple of minutes, the entire map is going to be covered, and we can see that here. And on a big map like Frost, that's even more important because there's just so much room for maneuvering if you have the creep to allow for it. She's going to be able to be everywhere at once very, very easily.
What a bizarre game we're seeing. And the Blue Flame is now finished, so it's going to complement this. Yeah, she saw it.
So she knows. Or should know. And now some Hellbats too, so it's just kind of everything coming out here. But no tanks though, so that tech lab was just kind of there.
I kind of like the addition of this many Hellions against a Ling Bane Muta style, because it is going to kill off that ground army very quickly, but
His army is just so absurdly small though, and
yeah.
he has no good counter to Banelings here at all, besides control. The Hellbats really don't do much. The Hellions honestly don't do that much. Banelings seem like light units, but they actually are armored units, so they don't take the bonus damage from the Blue Flame.
And I'm under the impression that right now Bomber would like to be in Scarlett's face and actually trying to do some damage
Oh,
at
she
the
forgot
bases.
centrifugal hooks.
Oh.
She doesn't have Baneling speed for another like 120 seconds or so.
But the creep's going to scare Bomber off, and
Yeah,
he's
I think she can
probably
hold this anyway without
Yeah.
it, but if she had it, she could destroy that army on creep.
Mutalist's going to fly around to the third base and actually put on some pressure, but there is a bunker and missile turret there, so we won't be able to do too much.
That's a big army from Bomber. He just brought
Yeah.
out like twice the units he had originally. This is actually getting very scary for Scarlett.
Very, very strong macro here from Bomber. He is slightly supply blocked at 188, but it's still a terrifying army here as the Mutalists try and find small little weaknesses in the armor here of Bomber to catch a Hellion or two, just nibbling away at that army and buying some time. But Bomber's doing a great job of pushing across this creep despite its spread being very strong initially.
Baneling speed is still only about half done. She's doing a great job buying time with those mutas, as you said, but needs to buy a lot more. She's doing the right thing. She's making a ton of Banelings. Banelings are the counter to the composition, but without speed, they're just not as efficient as they need to be.
Yeah, still needs to hold on. That third base is now under jeopardy as the Widowmines will move forwards here to try and find a good position. They do have tunneling claws. Centrifugal Hooks is going to finish very soon. The Scarlett's going to split off just a few Banelings at the front and keep doing that, splitting off these small sections of army to try and catch position and try and push Bomber away until Centrifugal Hooks is done. It's about to finish, and there we go. She's going to go straight for it as that Centrifugal Hooks does finish up. A lot of Banelings crashing forward through it and obliterates this army. Scarlett is absolutely flying and furious.
That was completely perfect by her. That was a gigantic mistake. I thought she was in a lot of trouble, but she has bought infinite amounts of time with both her creep spread, which forced Bomber to spend so many scans to actually get across the map, and really just perfect muta control. And now she has a hive coming out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
And our 5th base coming up as well. Already has gases up there, and such an army advantage.
it's as if she looks very comfortable right now.
She does seem very comfortable.
Yeah.
And after a mistake like that, that's the kind of thing that should have been a game-ending mistake for getting Baneling speed for that long against a style like this from Bomber. But to keep her composure under that, that's really just... Oh, she doesn't have a drone on gas there. That's actually kind of a problem. Because she really needs a ton of Banelings to beat this. You cannot beat it with Mutiling, but Banelings are very good against it. Of course, Banelings mean you need to have a lot of gas to throw away.
Yeah, Thors are being worked in now. 3-3 is also on the way for Bomber. So his army is going to become still quite considerably powerful as the 3rd base is going to get ransacked. There's a few Banelings.
Banelings.
Burrowed as well, but those Marines are not stepping over it just yet. There is a few little ones on the left-hand side, but it's not worth detonating.
That's not...
Ooh, that was bad.
Yeah, that was not very good at all, but she still has an army advantage. She still has... she doesn't... Her macro is too good. She doesn't really have too much of a bank. She does not want to engage us. She needs to run away right now.
Yeah, cancels all the Banelings, wants to save that money and will head off back. But those 4 Banelings in between the 3rd and natural, if she can lure with Mutalisks back up to the natural, this could work out quite well for her considering the army position in its entirety.
There is a big chunk of Marines down there just kind of waiting to die to that if she can get them into position. And she's going for the 4th base now, which will force the Marines to run up. It just depends what path they take. I don't think they'll go over the burrowed Banelings. So.
Dude, Bomber might not learn his lesson. There's been this before. It's 3-3s on the way as well as +3 for the Flyers as well. So those Mutalisks are also going to be quite considerably powerful as those Marines. She wants to lure it back to the natural. If she goes to the 3rd and then back to the natural or vice versa, they probably will walk over those, but it's going to take quite a lot, I would say.
And it's getting to a point where she really needs that. Bomber's army is getting kind of out of control, and he's going to have a big 3-3 timing window. He already has +3 weapon, +3 armor is about to finish, and hers are quite far off. And she really just doesn't have the money to trade. She can't just throw units at him until he goes away. She really needs to win fights badly. Because she's not even maxed. He is, and he's building up a bank, and she is not.
One of the slight advantages of good creep spread, as well as being on a very, very open map, is that you can spread your units out very well in the middle here. As she is going to move straight on into this natural, completely go around a lot of that army and push these Marines on back. She's actually going to exit past those Banelings and try and lure. Oh my God! Actually hitting so many of those Banelings on the ramp as well. Bomber did certainly not learn his lesson as he took a lot of damage. And Scarlett now completely obliterates Marine after Marine. There's still more! She can do it again! Well, not on those ones. Not worth it. But
no, you gotta wait for more impressive ones.
Oh.
But that being said, it's still equal supply. Bomber has 4 bases, and Bomber is Bomber. He still has a lot of units.
Brutal. Brutal, man.
That was amazing.
I don't know what to say. Well, it's time for missile turrets to go down. There's an Ultralisk Cavern behind this as well, but Bomber's already mixing in a few more orders to try and deal with that. And now, after those Banelings, I'm expecting scans, something, once he starts moving out, because he can't let this happen.
He's making Marauders and Thors just because he's so scared. He wants units that won't die to the Banelings. She's scarred him for life now. We're going to see him switch to mech after this, just never play bio ever again.
He'll do a show and switch to Protoss. Well, okay, so Scarlett's going to hit the 3rd again here. A lot of Marines still moving between this. She could try and go up to the main and try and draw those Marines back, but that in turn would leave us susceptible to getting trapped if those Banelings weren't able to get the connections. So I'm focusing on those Banelings a lot, I must admit, but
well,
it's fair.
after what happened this game and the game previously, it's kind of understandable in this matchup. Scarlett still just doesn't have very much money. Again, not max, no bank whatsoever. She's on 5 bases, but her income just really doesn't seem like it. I'm not sure where all the money is going. If she has a good she has 82 harvesters. I don't know where all her money is.
It's, well, let's look at the income for a second. She's got a lot of gas incoming. The Mutalisks have to be careful. That's a lot of Marines.
Wow.
Oh, she's actually sacrificing a lot of these Mutalisks. She doesn't want to be doing that.
That was horrendous. She lost more than half the mutas there. She's lost 50 mutas this game so far. That could be game ending. If we look at the supply now, a 50 supply advantage for Bomber, and he's just going to have a constant stream of Marines coming across the map.
Uh-oh, that was a lot of damage done here to Scarlett, and now Bomber's going to take full advantage of it. He's not going to sit back. He's going to go straight to this 5th base, completely cripple all operations here, killing off those spine crawlers. Thankfully for Scarlett, the burrow will save a lot of those drones, but once again, some Mutalisks have died here again. So Bomber is absolutely executing this to a T. Scarlett now needs to run around in circles and get more Baneling detonations.
And she's rebuilding mutas, which is not going to help here. That's not going to keep her alive. The mutas are for when you're in control of the game and you're counterattacking. But now she needs Lings and Banelings, or she's just going to die here.
Nice Widowmine connection will end up killing off a lot of those Banelings in the process. So a small minefield up this ramp as well will help out quite considerably if she's able to shut that down. Sorry, if Bomber's able to shut that down. And indeed he does. He splits up a lot of those units at the back, making sure that they weren't engaging initially so they would stay alive against this constant pursuit here of Scarlett as Bomber pushes once again into the 4th base, trying to get that hatchery, trying to shut that down. But Bomber's macro is still holding strong.
And it's just going to keep getting better. He's adding on more command centers. He's dropping mules constantly. And Scarlett's just running out of bases and workers. She's adding another hatchery, but that's not going to be up and running in time to save this. And still a 40-50 supply advantage and growing for Bomber.
Dude, something happened to the 4 Banelings down in the south. I don't know what happened, but they're gone now. I looked at the minimap. There you go. Anyway, GG. Game number 1 goes to Bomber. That was quite interesting considering what was happening. It was a weird opening here from Bomber. And then I have to say, you know, those Mutalisks dying, I feel that was the big turning point. That
was the nail in the coffin. But honestly, it didn't seem like it because she ended up surviving anyway. But forgetting the Baneling speed, and Scarlett looks devastated. I've never seen her that emotional, one way or the other. I think she felt pretty much in control of that game for a long time. I think she could have just won it flat out if she had Baneling speed when she was supposed to. Because that army from Bomber, that was really just a poorly thought out army. If you have Banelings, you destroy that. She had a big macro advantage. She had perfect creep spread. She could have just engaged it as soon as it came out, wiped it, probably denied the 3rd. It was honestly a really bad opening from Bomber, and she was in perfect position to punish it, except for that one silly little mistake. It's a tough one, but between these two, fireworks do end up flying in every single game, and it wouldn't be a Bomber Scarlett game without something a little bit unexpected happening, be it Baneling connections or a complete turnaround of the game. Second map is going to be Akelon Wastes here, Joe. That's interesting. It's not as big of a problem as it is against a mech player like Happy, like we were talking about yesterday. That's almost a go-to ban against him, but it's still not the best CVT map. Terran gets 4 bases pretty easily. And Scarlett, she really seems to prefer that heavy muta, slightly later hive, very harass and counterattack based style. And that's pretty good on here because when you have a lot of mutas, you can actually do something to control the Terran's economy. But it's still a tough game. And against someone like Bomber, if he gets that 4 bases running early enough, he's just going to rally units at you and not let you counterattack, because if you do, you'll die. So I don't know. This is not really the map she wants to play from 0-1 on. Well, you mentioned previously that Frost was the map that Bomber was able to take off Scarlett, and thus it does continue here at the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. But Akelon Wastes now being our second map. Countdown has already begun. Scarlett's getting prepared and ready to go. Bomber, he's always prepared and ready to go, as he always looked so concentrated, so stern about going into these games. And again, I'm looking forward to this. This was already going to be my highlight of the day. It was almost surpassed already after seeing Hero play so thoroughly well in that first series. But now let's jump right on in as we have spawning down to the southern position here as our Red Zerg. Representing Team Acer, she is Scarlett. And up to the top left-hand corner, currently 1 game up in this best of 3, representing Startail, he is Bomber. Scarlett did prove at Battlegrounds that she's able to play from behind and play under pressure. Yeah. So even though she did look pretty upset after that game, and it's understandable after that mistake with the Banelings, I don't think she's going to be too phased here. I think she's going to be able to play as well as ever. It's just a matter of whether or not that will be good enough. I really didn't like that opening from Bomber. I'm curious to see if he's going to do something similar. Not did I. It was so strange, so bizarre. By no means was game 1 like a perfect game from either of them. There were mishaps, there were mistakes, there canceling Blue Flame. Yeah, it was a little bit strange all around. But you know, it doesn't take a perfect game to make an extremely entertaining game, right? No, often the one that's wrought with mistakes is actually more entertaining just because stuff happens. If everyone's playing perfectly, there's no holes, there's nothing to take advantage of, there's no back and forth. But when everyone messes up a little bit, then you get lots of fun stuff like those Baneling connections. Yeah, you get crazy shenaniganry. Well, Scarlett's scouting out. She's still scared of any kind of proxies that would come out from Bomber, as we previously mentioned, thinking going straight into this series that Bomber would try do something like this. But as we can already see, Bomber, well, he has thrown down a gas. So it looks like there is the opportunity for at least Reaper poking around here. Probably a Reaper opening here. That would be to be expected. And Scarlett's just going to see that, just going to comfortably go speedling, I would imagine. And everything should develop pretty normally from here. Pretty standard openings from both of them. More standard, at least, than the Barrack CC and the gasless opening from her last game.
Yeah, the initial drone scout here coming out and trying to poke away at this SCV. But Bomber knows by this SCV scout at least that Scarlett was a little bit worried as to what his opening was going to be, so making sure she's covering, crossing all the T's and dotting all those I's, and making sure that Bomber isn't doing anything too crazy.
Drone Scout always a good option against someone like Bomber, in my opinion, because he opens up 14cc a lot, but he will mix in the occasional cheese, and in both cases, you want to know as soon as possible so you can react to it. So honestly, on any two-player map, if I'm playing against Bomber, I would want to be drone scouting. But I don't know, a lot of the Korean Zergs yesterday weren't really too concerned with drone scouting, which I found kind of weird, ZVT. And actually, no gas from Scarlett, so she's opening up gasless against... She didn't scout the gas, I don't think. I think she just saw the barracks and ran away. So
yeah, didn't want to get locked in, I guess.
But she has to assume it's Reaper. This is a pretty normal Reaper map. That's the normal barracks opening.
Yeah, there's good ways to jump on in there.
That's strange.
Well, Reaper's going to head on out. A little bit of a deviation in terms of the straight path there for that Reaper, as it will head up to the north slightly. So maybe trying to avoid Overlord, this Overlord, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The point is that Bomber's going to get over there pretty quickly. He does get spotted by the Overlord over at the natural here of Scarlett. And for now, she's just going to have to micro her heart out with these drones.
Yeah, she's not going to take any damage from it. That's not the problem with not opening up gasless. It's that she's not going to be able to take her third until she actually pushes Creep and Queens out there, because she's not going to have the speedling to push the Reaper back. But we saw last game, even when she has a free chance to take the third, she prefers to get double gas and 4 Queens before it. Oh, that was very sloppy by her. She could have just built an extractor. Should have just built an extractor and saved it. So maybe Scarlett, that's a pretty basic mistake. She might be a little bit tilty.
I guess she may have had more confidence in the fact that that Queen was just about to finish up, or something to that effect, but it was a little bit strange, as there could have been that extractor. Doubles go down so that she can end up getting that speed out a little bit quicker, as opposed to just 1 gas, which would have been earlier, of course. But now we have that third command center going down for Bomber, so big macro focuses from him, and just not what Scarlett was expecting at all initially from this series.
No, I guess he wasn't too phased by the loss at Battlegrounds. I guess he's still pretty... But, I mean, it's Bomber. He's always going to be comfortable in a macro game. Losses happen, and it's pretty easy to brush off a loss or two when you get Baneling detonations like that. And just tell yourself you're going to scan better next time and then go into it looking for the same kind of game. Yeah. And Scarlett's opening up the exact same way as last time. 4 Queens. The gases might have been slightly earlier. I wasn't paying too much attention to that.
It's a very small detail, but it's a quite interesting Starport placement that we're actually seeing there from Bomber as well. Is he going to go Banshee with this by any chance? Or is he going to go
dropped
Medevac?
a barracks next to it, so most likely Banshee.
Yeah?
Although he's not building a tech lab yet, and it's at the time that he would need to. So, I don't know. I have to keep an eye on that. The Starport should be finishing shortly, so we'll see. I would imagine Banshee. You don't really want to hide it for Medevac.
Yeah, if it would have been Medevac, and well, I mean, it would be kind of cool to see the Hellions drop, but it would be slightly kind of strange as well.
It's just going to be a Viking to hunt down Overlord and scout a little bit. I really like that. I think most Terrans should do that unless they have another need for their Starport. The only problem is it does slow down your 2 Medevac, like 11-minute timing push. And that's a pretty important thing, especially against someone like Scarlett, because it's what really controls the creep spread in the early game. But it's just so annoying for Zerg. Oh, and a really nice little pick-off. Not pick-off, but delay on the third hatchery there. And her third hatchery is already so late that every second counts at this point.
Yeah, it really does. Scarlett's just trying to push this creep spread out. Bomber using a more conservative Hellion approach in game number 2, as opposed to game number 1, to try and keep that back. And does not get the creep tumor there just yet. And third base will end up going down. So the Reaper doesn't delay any longer, but bye-bye Overlord. And Cloak is on the way here for Bomber.
So it is Banshee afterwards, and I kind of like this, because he's cleared out the Overlords. There's no chance it's going to be scouted. She's not going to expect it. Oh, an Armory, so it will be mech play from Bomber. I told you he was tired of those Banelings.
Yeah.
Never again.
Never again.
Bomber is now a mech player.
I love, if he's going to go for mech and include Banshees even further into his play as opposed to just a harassment tool in the earlier stages, I absolutely adore this composition from Terran to really put on the pressure against Zerg. It can be so hard to deal with mech and Banshees all at the same time. There's just so much to actually deal with.
Oh, yeah, we saw MVP. I think he went 3-0 with his mech plus Banshee timing push build yesterday, and that was against some pretty tough competition. I don't know if I've seen Scarlett play against mech anytime recently. Every Terran has just been all aboard the Marine train kind of style.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen how she's really going to react to this. She is very much a Mutiling Bane player. She's opening up with melee upgrades. She thinks everything is normal right now. She saw that Viking. The Viking usually doesn't mean mech play. This is very non-standard. The Viking is usually I'm going to kill off Overlords, and then I'm going to make double medevacs, and then I'm going to play normal kind of opening.
Would the Banshee tip her off at this point in time?
the Banshee at this timing is just weird,
Yeah.
one way or the other. So it doesn't fit in with a normal mech opening. It doesn't fit in with a normal bio opening. It's more mech, but Bomber is a very bio player, and he does open weird things. Like we saw that last game. That was a very non-standard opening.
Yeah.
He's one of the Fear Terrans. Well, the Cloak should be a pretty good tip-off, and really good play by her. She actually already has the Overseer. It's very conscientious. Make sure she's not going to take any more damage. And seeing Cloak there is a bit of a tip-off. She should be making an Overseer and trying to scout or something at this point, at least to find out.
But starts +2 melee here, so that's not really the indication.
So she still thinks it's bio, and that's not very good for her.
So, I mean, normally if she thought it was mech, and knows it's mech, she will throw down that Roach Warren instantaneously. I mean, it's the right thing to be doing in the end there. But
we did see King Kong playing Mutiling Bane into Swarm Host, into other stuff against mech the other day. But I think I felt like that was a pretty non-standard. That was a King Kong kind of response.
King Kong special.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Maybe it's something amongst Korean Zergs, the way they kind of like to approach mech, but it seems very, very vulnerable. Now, we saw Curious play a more standard Roach Hydra Viper. I think that was a unique thing to him, and I do think she just doesn't realize that it's not bio yet.
And the thing about the play that we're seeing here from Bomber and the way in which...
She just saw the Hellbats.
Did she?
Yeah. So that should be... She has to know something's up at this point.
Starts +1 range, air weapons, though, as well. So
she's still playing as she plays for his bio.
Infestation Pit. Yeah.
That's still pretty in line. She has no 4th base. She's actually really behind in terms of economy at this point. A Mech Terran is ahead of her in supply.
Yeah, I still think that the Roach one should be going down if she needs to. I mean, she is sending in changelings that could actually spot everything.
I think she knows something's weird, but she's kind of thinking it's like the half composition he did last game or something like that, because she hasn't seen the Thor or the buildings, and those are the dead giveaways. Now she sees the Thor. Yeah,
I think, you know, the Infestation Pit going down that early, if it was bio play, she would have never thrown it down that early, right? She would have always been investing that gas into...
Probably not, but either way, she should have a 4th by now. She's just playing so behind in economy. Her 3rd base was so late. Her 4th base still hasn't gone down just yet. And Bomber was playing absurdly greedy. He got pretty much the earliest 3rd CC you can do. I don't know. This is pretty scary for Scarlett. If Bomber does an MVP-ish timing, and he might even go, he's going to go even more aggressive because he's not even building tanks. He's just going to go Thor Hellbat with some support. And I think Scarlett's in trouble here.
I think she might be as well. That's a very, very strong army that we're seeing from Bomber, now moving through the middle of the map. Scarlett's creep spread isn't too bad at all. It's never too shabby. But at the same time, the army that we're seeing from Bomber is very, very strong against this Ling Bane Muta style that Scarlett only has. The Zerglings are going to try and wrap around. And actually, the Thors are very, very far out of position here with those Hellbats not being able to actually reinforce as quickly as they would like to. The Thors all die off, and there's no anti-air here. Scarlett has taken a perfect engagement considering the circumstances.
That was absurdly awful by Bomber and really, really good by Scarlett. There was no way should have been able to defend that, but she just obliterated. She didn't even lose a single Muta, I don't think.
Wow.
That was absolutely what Scarlett needed.
Yeah.
And they still even supply. Scarlett's economy is still quite behind. This is not a one game by any means, but that was exactly what she needed to give herself a chance here.
And Zerglings and Banelings going to move on forwards again here. Blue Flame is completed here for those Hellbats, but at the same time, those Banelings really didn't do anything. And apart from 1 or 2 detonations at the very end, Scarlett will have to fall back.
And Greater Spire starts, so she's just going straight into Broodlords. And killing that army off might give her the time to get to them. And if you can get to Broodlords before the Terran mech makes its air composition switch, before it gets 4 or 5 starports down, those Broodlords are really, really strong. Even with the new Thor, like, single target anti-air shot, if you don't have Vikings and Ravens going, and 10 Broodlords show up with some support, you're kind of in trouble.
It does really hit. It hits really hard, though, with +2 weapons.
It does.
Especially +3 if that gets going later on. So.
Yeah, I don't particularly like it, but if you get them out fast enough, that's the one time the Broodlords can work.
Well, those Mutalisks going to fly on in here and try and buy some time. Nice control, saving that Mutalisk from certain death there, as 3-3 starts behind this for those Broodlings that are going to be coming out. And even a contamination, double contamination on these factories to slow down the production, but Mutalisks getting ripped apart.
I could have got that one. Good tactics to delay. Scarlett knows everything is on time. If Bomber attacks right before those Broodlords come out, she's just going to die. I don't think even a miraculous engagement like last time could save her from that, because she's going to have still just Mutiling Baneling against Hellbats and Hellions and Thors. There was really, she had no right to survive that last one, but it wouldn't happen again. But the Greater Spire has finished. She has 8 Corruptors on the way, and she has a good amount of gas.
And look at this creep spread.
Amazing creep spread, as always, from Scarlett.
Yeah, it just keeps pushing on.
Perfect timing from Bomber. This is exactly what he needs to do. And his Thors are already in the single shot mode. He knows what's coming. He's ready for it, and he knows how to deal with it. This is a very scary moment for Scarlett here.
It's like Thors with mini Thors. They're just they're the baby Thors of the world, these little Hellbats, as they plow on forwards. And this poor Queen getting cornered whilst he's moving across the map. That's a lot of Lings in production, but
3 Broodlords out, 3 more coming. I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't know. If she gets like huge Baneling detonations, but she's losing all the Banelings before they even morph.
Uh-oh. How many does she have out on the map right now? She has 3 Baneling.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is bad.
Well, gonna push up the ramp here is Bomber. This is a fantastic army that he currently has. The Broodlords trying to buy him some time. The Hellbats are actually blocking a lot of those Thors from getting towards those Broodlords. But once they end up closing the gap, whoa,
wow.
Those Banelings caught so many of those Hellbats, but at the same time, the Lings really not doing too much against that. The Broodlords now need to keep moving back, need to keep out of range for as long as possible.
She needs to get more Banelings so she can eliminate the Hellbats. If she can get in and surround the Thors with Zerglings while the Broodlords pound on them, maybe she can hold this off.
Transfuses go down here from the Queens.
Lots of Broodlords up. She may just hold on here. Oh, he needs to get the Banelings down.
That's a lot of Banelings as well, but are they going to be used on the Thors? It's not the most cost-efficient trade. She's deciding not to use them, to have just the Broodlords, try and kill off as much of that as possible. This is so close, this is so tense, but Bomber behind this, actually, you know, his macro kind of slipped a little bit.
Well, there was a big Zergling counterattack at his third base that has actually just been cleared out. Still nothing mining there at all, actually. I don't know. Scarlett lost a lot of Broodlords for that, but he has really no economy, and he's throwing away 3 more Thors. He can't just throw around Thors like that. They are pretty expensive units.
What a weird game once again for number 2. This is not at all how I expected the series to go.
Scarlett's actually pulled into a lead now with no 4th base and barely even a mining 3rd from Bomber. He was going for a very mid-game composition. He thought he had it won there.
Yeah.
Ooh, I thought he did too. But now Scarlett's actually pulled herself. It's definitely winnable. She doesn't have a good economy, but Broodlords are pretty good in low economy games. She just needs to make sure she has the anti-air support.
Very, very low 3rd base there, or 4th base, whatever you want to call it, over at that location. But now, still Thors and the Hellbats on the way, but Vikings are being mixed in. Just adding on some more Corruptors as well. Doesn't want to go for too many Broodlords. Still needs the Corruptors to tackle those Vikings, I should say.
Yeah, I think Scarlett has this at this point. That's just every time Bomber moves out, it's going to be a smaller and smaller army because his economy is not getting any better.
It's shot. He's not making SAVs at all. He's on 47 workers to 77.
And Broodlord Corruptor, when there's no real threat of an air switch, is very strong.
Those Corruptors need to come in and buy some time for the Broodlords to do what they need to, as the Banelings as well as Zerglings did end up moving forwards and dying off quite quickly, but Scarlett still has a lot of Broodlords which are pounding away at this army, and all the Vikings are gone. These 3 Thors are in full retreat, as are the Hellbats. And there's no answer to the Broodlords anymore.
No, that was Bomber's last little hope. He's just not going to be able to deal with the Broodlord count ever again in this game. He's still barely mining from that 3rd base. No attempt to take a 4th base. His natural will mine out soon. And Scarlett, she still has 2 bases running fully, and she has 2 more expansions to take as soon as she wants to build some drones for it, and pulled into a 50 supply lead. So Scarlett has survived.
I think it's important to note there for people out there, you don't really normally deal with mech in this fashion.
Yeah.
Scarlett got a very, very favorable engagement early on when those 3 Thors completely strayed away from those Hellbats, and that really bought her a lot of good time to continue on with this game. And now, I mean, there's nothing to contest this air armada that we're seeing Scarlett build.
Yeah, I really think this whole game has been a testament to overconfidence from Bomber. Like, he saw that she had Mutiling Baneling to hold that first attack and was like, well, I've tricked her. I won the game. Time to A-move to victory.
Yeah.
And just very sloppy play from him cost him that attack. And even after that, he was still in pretty good position. And he just kind of charged in. He didn't really think about the fact that he was shooting Broodlords up a cliff with Banelings under them and Queens healing them. He was like, hey, that's actually still pretty strong. Yeah,
certainly is. Ooh, nice Fungal, actually, hitting a lot of those Vikings, but can't continue to chain it as he has been zoned out by the ground forces that do exist. Well, another good Fungal will land on those Vikings, and, well, bye-bye Vikings, and then once they're gone, well, actually, the Thor's not doing too badly from the ground, and there's not that many Broodlords left, in only 4. But,
wow. What?
Wait a minute.
How'd that happen?
Well, she's Lings on the way at least.
Yeah, she should be fine. He still doesn't have any economy.
Look at the creep. It's like blocking all 4th base locations.
Her creep spread is just absolutely disgusting.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's not that easy for Bomber to really transition out of the current position he's in. So There's just a lot of Zerglings on the way. There's not even that many Hellbats now with these Thors, so if she just makes a load of Zerglings and just floods on in, I don't know how the Thors are going to react.
I don't know. Once Thors get to 3-3, it's pretty hard for Zerglings to kill them. You just don't get the surface area to actually put out the DPS. She only has, what, 5 Broodlords, I think, once those finish, and they're dying pretty fast.
Yeah, they are.
This is strange.
Thors and Vikings
More
doing
Thors
very well.
coming in.
Infested Terrans land as well to try and kill all this off, but because, you know, the Vikings also benefit from the mech upgrades now as well with the weapons, it does make for a very, very strong composition against this, but she's still going to push it away. Those 4 Thors, 4 little fellas.
Yeah, this should be the end of it. I don't know. I feel nervous calling anything after how this game has gone, but it really should be the end of it.
And, well, Broodlings will nibble away and kill those off. But you're right. I'm quite nervous as well. I'm like, is this going to work?
Okay,
and there you go, GG! Game number 2 goes to Scarlett, tying things up 1 apiece. And what a weird series, man.
That was just really good patience from Scarlett. She was getting the only possible engagements that could win her the game 2 or 3 times there early on when she really, really deserved to die.
I think even she knows that.
Yeah, she looks kind of bemused after that game. I really want to know, like, I hope if she wins the series and we get the interview, I really want to know at what point she figured out it was going to be mech that game. Because if Mutiling, because throughout history of StarCraft, people have tried Mutiling Baneling to hold against mech and thinking, okay, I'm going to invest as few resources as possible, get up to Hive, because that's how you actually beat it. And they always die.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if she was just trying it and it actually worked out for once for her there, or she got caught and made the best of a bad situation. It worked out really well for her one way or the other. Well, and now we get Polar Knight.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I don't like any of these maps, CVT.
I was
really curious what she vetoed.
Yeah.
It must have been Yunsu, but she had a second veto. I don't know what she spent that on.
Not very happy with Polar Knight in terms of taking the 3rd base for a Zerg. Very, very difficult, very wide open. We may even see like a 2-base Muta player come out of Scarlett, but that can certainly be a factor here on Polar Knight. I actually really, really like Mutas on this map. They're very, very good because the bases are so wide open on every single angle.
Yeah, they are. But you have to comfortably get to a Muta flock before
That's true.
And I mean, if she does do it, she's great with that style of play. That's actually, it seems to be her preferred style in macro ZVTs. But I mean, this is the perfect map for the Marine Train kind of play, and Bomber's been doing that since back in Wings of Liberty. I don't know. Surviving up to a 4th base, I can see being very difficult for Scarlett here unless something funky happens early on.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if Bomber played mech again, or another weird opening.
She's very amused by something. I think she's like watching the replay back. Is like, ha ha ha, that happened. Ha ha, I caught those 3 Thors. Ha ha ha. Take that, Bomber.
I still can't believe he was just that, because that was literally the only way.
He could have won the game there, right?
He should have. Well, something exciting just happened.
Something exciting happened, but yeah, it's this series, man. But yeah, he could have won the game right there. So Bomber has to be kicking himself a little bit after that position, after being, I would say, so far ahead when it comes to the compositions. And now Scarlett has joined the lobby. We're going to be getting into game number 3 in a second between Scarlett versus Bomber. Down to the wire, 1-1. One more map will decide who advances on to play against CJ Hero. So regardless of who wins, despite this being a pretty fueled rivalry, they don't get any fantastic prizes if they have to play against Hero next.
No, they don't. I'm actually really excited. Whoever wins this against Hero should be a fantastic match.
Yeah, definitely.
Hero, I knew he was good going into this tournament, but after watching that last match, he just manhandled Dream. It was very impressive.
Very, very cool to watch. All right, guys. Game number 3 is loading up. Polar Knight is our map, as we have Scarlett and Bomber loading up to find out who advances on to play CJ Hero and who will fall down to play against MVP Dream.
It's worth noting that dropping down to play Dream is no cakewalk either.
No.
As mediocre as he looked against Hero, he's an excellent player in his own right.
Yeah, I think his TVZ really shines. Scarlett would have a bit of a hard time against him, but Scarlett's TVZ is one of the best in the world when it comes to Zerg players. And anyway, spawning up to the northern position, there she is herself, representing Acer. She is Scarlett. And down to the south, we have our blue Terran representing Startail. It's Bomber.
That last game was just so impressive from Scarlett. Like, despite the mistakes she made to get herself into a bad situation, actually having the patience to pull it out there, especially when he was pushing up into her natural. I don't know. I did not expect her to be able to hold that off. I thought the Thors were just going to take the Broodlords down, but she waited until the last possible second.
All right, what are you going to bring us, Bomber? What are you going to do here in game number 3? Are you going to go crazy? Are you going to go and put something in a proxy? It doesn't look like it has an SCV anytime soon, so that's not going to be the case just yet. I won't be surprised if Bomber actually just goes full macro mode and goes for something like a CC first, because Scarlett's really not going to be taking any risks. She's not really the most aggressive of players early on in this matchup. She's just scouting out for proxies. If she ever does go for anything aggressive, it's normally like 14-14, and then that's the extent of what I really see from Scarlett.
Yeah, she used to Roche Bane bust quite a bit, as did every Zerg. Back around the time when Sulky was like the only person who ever won a ZVT, and everyone just followed in his suit. But recently, I've seen her play pretty much pure macro games. Here, like you said, just scouting around for proxies, not finding anything, so headed on into his main. It looks like Bomber might be going for Barrack CC again, which, again, the worst build in the world. And Scarlett's going to scout that. She can actually go 3-hash before pool against this if she wants to. I don't see too many Zergs do that, but it's actually completely safe.
And look at this. Goes straight in to see if there is a gas.
She does see no gas, so she knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I hope she goes 3-hatch. I don't. She's not gonna. She's not making drone. Oh, she made another drone. She might.
Well, again, she's not hugely comfortable about a third base on this map super early, but considering what she's already seen,
it is a bit. Nope, she puts down a pool.
Yeah. So this doesn't surprise me too much, considering the map.
That's weak. Go for it. You gotta punish this.
Wow, you're merciless.
I really just think Frac CC is such a terrible build. It doesn't have any of the ingression or control of a Reaper opening, and it doesn't have the economy of a CC first. It's just this half-assed in-between bad thing. Well, but Bomber made it work kind of the first game.
Yeah, yeah. As Maynard calls it, the Reaper tax. If you do see Reapers on the way, I mean, they always do something, at least get some intel, at least force a little bit of loss mining from drones, maybe even get a drone. And getting at least one drone for me for Reapers, fully worth it.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Even if you just delay the third, which is a guarantee, a given, and force out 4 to 6 lings early on, that's enough. Just the control they give you over the game pays for itself.
All right, well, this is going to continue on in a more stable-like fashion as we do have that CC finishing up on the low ground. Double extra barracks here before any gases. So a very heavy, very heavy bio focus here early on for Bomber. Not too much Scarlett can do against that to really pressure here.
Yeah, this is something that pretty much only Bomber does of competitive Terrans anymore. It used to be more popular, and back then he was kind of the pioneer of it. Just the fast expansion and then nothing but Marines and rally Marines at you. There was a time where he would literally go 3 bases, drop like 7 barracks, and just rally 15 Marines at a time at you, or 13 or whatever it is.
No, I know what you mean, man. Even the later stages of some of the games we've seen against Scarlett have been just like Marines. And he doesn't
he likes his Marines.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They are good.
His macro is absolutely perfect, and his Marine splitting is among the best, so I mean it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. They do work out very well. Double gases are going to be taken here for Scarlett to compensate for the fact that she didn't have one of those earlier gases, and speed will continue from there on. So Scarlett is, again, you've said it many times during this cast already, but she's so confident in her Ling, Baneling, Muta play that any deviations from that would be extremely surprising to me here from Scarlett.
Yeah, she's almost definitely going to open up with that and then transition if necessary. Although last game we didn't even see her transition against Hellbat Thor mech, which is like the hard counter to it.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to go with it. And his combat shield, or his combat shield, so he's going to be doing a pretty quick Marine timing here. And this can be kind of dangerous if you don't scout it, because most people don't put down their Baneling Nest right away. Usually you go double upgrades, you get your lair started, and then your next 50 gas, assuming you're conscientious about it, is your Baneling Nest. And that's not going to be in time to hold this off. So unless she actually has quite a few speedlings, or she gets some sense of this, because she has no Overlord to scout this, she's not going to know it's coming. Unless she feels that something is wrong because there's no Hellions out, she might be kind of in trouble here. This could be dangerous.
Yep, the double Evo goes down, so she can start those 1-1 melee carapace upgrades. But you're right, even Bomber was clearing out the front with just 1 or 2 Marines. There was a Zergling poised there and killed it before showing that combat shields existed on Marines. So that's very important for him to deny that knowledge, because look at this, the Marines are actually already moving out here.
She's not making a single Zergling, and Speedling is only half done. She could be in a lot of trouble here.
That's
this is really bad for Scarlett. And she's not even going to scout it coming. She sees 1 Marine, and that's not enough.
Yeah, that little Zergling completely missed everything that was going on apart from that one
And now she
Marine.
knows, and she immediately makes 8 Zerglings, but she doesn't even have any larvae saved up. 8 is not going to hold this off. She's losing all her creep spread. The Queens might be able to buy enough time. Speedling will finish pretty soon, but combat shields finish soon as well.
Scary moment here for Scarlett. This could be the series completed here for Bomber if he's able to make
Two
this work
queens down already.
Oh, very, very nice damage already. Those drones have to evacuate out. There's so much firepower. She has to wait. She can't go with just a few circlings. She has to wait until more out here as the queen's trying to kill off some of the reinforcements. But that's so many Marines. Scarlett was not able to sniff it out, and Bomber is doing the damage he needs to.
Yeah, a little bit of a lax in scouting, but just such a weird build from Bomber, but such a good build too. This is good timing. It doesn't really delay him too much. It doesn't cost him too much, and there's a potential to just win a game like this. And Scarlett panicked a bit. She just rallied her lings instead of waiting for critical mass, and it cost her the game. All the drones are down. The hatchery is going to fall. Queens are down. And Bomber has a third CC already finished.
This is the scary thing about Bomber. To throw this in just any time he wants, to be able to be so versatile and do anything in any game. All three games have looked completely different here from Bomber. I mean, in game number, I can't remember which one it was, 1 or 2, I can't remember. But he did open up 3 barracks before 2 gas, but didn't put this pressure on. So Scarlett, you know, even if she'd have seen this, she might not have known up until obviously seeing the combat shields was out, if she'd have spotted that in the previous games. And this is the brutal thing about Bomber. He can make similar builds that look the same, but be completely different.
Yeah. When you have the execution he does, you can literally just do anything. Like, we've seen him open up with different, and not only different, but weird compositions. He hasn't opened up normal in any of these 3 games. And even when it fails, he just comes back because he has so many units, and that's the game.
There you go. GG. Bomber takes it 2-1. A amazing performance by him. Again, games number 1 and 2, there was like a little bit scrappy, a few mistakes here and there, but regardless, both players playing their hearts out, and you know these guys, these two players do have that big rivalry.
Yeah. That was kind of an anticlimactic 3rd game, but you got to give props to Bomber for just being able to mix it up and just do everything and really keep Scarlett off her game.
Scarlett not particularly happy there, as we have Hero advancing on as well as Bomber. So they'll be playing one another to find out who goes to that bracket stage tomorrow to be top 8. Meanwhile, after that, we'll have Dream versus Scarlett to see who keeps their hopes alive here in Group C. I've thoroughly enjoyed day number 3 already.
Yes, me too.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a lot of fun bringing you these first 2 series, guys, but of course we have another 2 fantastic ones on the way. After we've concluded Group C, we'll have Group D to finish off the day, which will then determine all 8 spots advancing on to day number 4. So any last words before we go to a break here, Greg?
I just can't wait for these next 2 matches coming up. After seeing the way both of them played, but Hero in particular. I know I keep harping on it, but his play against Dream was just so incredible. He made a 3rd Nexus, made 2 Forges, made a Robo, while just casually killing Dream, and Dream is no slouch. And then we get Scarlett versus Dream, and we know Scarlett's CVT, we know Dream's TVZ, so that'll be a good matchup as well.
We could even see Bomber versus Scarlett again.
That'd be kind of nice. But no, I want to see Scarlett versus Hero, so Bomber just gets to go through because I want to see that matchup.
Yeah, that would be
Unless
very
they play
nice.
in the brackets. I guess that works too.
That could work as well, yeah. All right, guys, we are going to go to a commercial break, and then we'll be back. We're going to have more StarCraft action from the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore.